Tirhuta, Mithilakshar or Devakshar, used to write Maithili and Sanskrit, two Indo-Aryan languages, the former being a descendant of the latter via Magadhi Prakrit. For the script, some sources trace its origin as far as back until the 9th century CE, but its differentiation from other Purvinagri systems like Bangalipi, Kamrupi is said to have been completed by 14th to 15th century. Like most of the South Asian scripts, Tirhuta is a Brahmi-based Abhagita. Several scholarly and religious scribal traditions have embraced Tirhuta as the script of use. The earliest records of Tirhuta are inscriptional records found in temples in Bihar and Nepal, the Sahodara and Mandaragiri stone inscriptions being the significant ones. In the 1920s, metal fonts in Kolkata were developed for Tirhuta and began to be used for printing purposes. Since the 1950s, literary societies like Maithili Academy and Chetna Samiti have been publishing various materials in Tirhuta. Let's look at some of them. Let's come to the differentiation of the script. What makes the script different from its sister scripts? From this piece of evolutionary chart from the Royal Asiatic Society of Bengal, we can observe that Bangla was written in a form that was closer to Tiruta till the 1500s, until it was simplified for printing purposes. As the invading British established themselves in Bengal, they invented new metal types for the Bengali script. Take, for instance, the metal type designed by Vincent Figgins. This 19th century design featured all the irregular contours continued to be followed by Tiruta even today. Though basically the scripts are only different for a few letters. Looking at the conjunct formation, we will reveal something more. Look at how old Bengali there, Tiruta there, and modern Bengali there look like. Which one do you think resembles Tiruta the most? If you say it's old Bengali, you're right. Similar is the case with other conjuncts. To put together in a few words, old Bengali typefaces were more akin to Tiruta in the case of conjunct formation than they are today. So if we have to look for an inspiration for Tiruta typography, you know old Bengali typefaces are the right ones to look out for. Modern day Mithila is governed by three separate administrations: the government of Bihar and Jharkhand in India, and the Nepalese central government, with just nominal autonomy given to its provinces. The language has remained under political negligence and has been a prey to other expansionist identities. On the Indian side, authorities have deliberately tried to weaken the language movement by declaring its dialects as separate languages, while the Nepalese side directly issues court orders to prevent its official use, as it did in 1999. Tirhuta continues to be used for writing manuscripts of religious and literary texts as well as for personal correspondence. Several revivalist movements have sprung up in correspondence with each other. Fonts are in line to be developed. There are attempts to paint signboards in Tirhuta, but with least experienced painters, we don't get satisfying results, with Tirhuta often having Devanagari elements. Let us look at some of the Tirhuta fonts that are already available. Based on the Devanagari Unicode, we have the Janaki font, while on the Bengali Unicode, two fonts, Tirhuta and Maithili, are available. In its own Unicode, we have got CDSE's GIST Tirhuta and notos and Tirhuta. Digital adaptation of Tirhuta traces its history back to the 1990s. Till date, many fonts have been developed for Tirhuta, but there has not been a single font which has been complete owing to the large conjunct library Tirhuta features. Fonts developed for Tirhuta till date have featured at least some wrong glyph every time. Typographers interested in developing Tirhuta font must be therefore always cautious of conjunct formation of the script and avoid inserting Bengali glyphs into the picture. The hard-pressed need currently is for a standard font to be developed rather than a designer one. When coming to designing font, one must always remember to design non-circular triangular forms with a pen angle at around 135 degrees. Other than the problem of conjunct formation, one must always be careful while designing the letters, which look pretty similar and are distinct due to a very few elements. For instance, take the la and the na. The difference between both of them is only that the na arising from its stem ends abruptly with its dot, while the la has the curvature moving 6 o'clock further than na, thus creating a wider capital. This distinctness between the two letters has been greatly misrepresented in some fonts like Google's Notos and Tirut. One has to be careful in these places, with the letters such as J, G, and E. Another matter to be taken into consideration is the placement of Vedic symbols, like the Gwanga, used to mark nasalization before Swaryantramukhi consonant, like Sha, Ha, Sha, Ha. Have been placing it like Chandrabidu mark, but it's not placed above the letter, but just beside the letter. So these are some of the points to be kept in mind. To briefly summarize, the need of the present time for Tirhuta is to develop a standard, complete, and correct font to aid the revival movement that it's currently undergoing. And I have just pointed out the wrong places typographers fall in while they are designing Tirhuta typefaces. To correct this and give in their best for the rest is what will help us to develop a perfect Tirhuta font. It's Samrāṭ Jhā for type.